It's 11:47 p.m. in a rented room in Bangkok, and the fan on the ceiling is doing absolutely nothing except pushing hot air in a slow, useless circle. The sheets are damp in that specific way that only happens in the tropics, where the air itself seems to sweat. There's a whine near your ear, high-pitched, right at the edge of hearing, the kind of sound that makes your whole body go still before your brain even knows why. You slap. You miss. The whine stops for exactly 4 seconds, then comes back on the other side. You turn on the light. Nothing. You turn it off. It's back within a minute, patient, circling, like it's got somewhere specific to be, and that somewhere is your neck. No group chat is going to save you here. No inbox, no notifications, no scrolling your way out of this one. There's just you, the dark, and something the size of a grain of rice that is right now hunting you with better tech than most home security systems, and definitely better tech than that ceiling fan. Here's the thing nobody tells you. That bite isn't an accident, and it isn't clumsy. It's a targeted operation, planned in stages, executed with a precision most surgeons would respect. And by the time you feel the itch, the whole thing is already over. The mosquito has already won, already left, already digesting somewhere on a wall you'll never think to check. Everyone thinks a mosquito bite is just theft. Bug lands, bug drinks, bug leaves. You're down a few microliters of blood and up one annoying bump. Simple burglary. In and out. We've all been told the itch is basically the whole story. A minor allergic footnote, the price of an open window in summer. Except that's not remotely what's happening. Because before that mosquito takes a single drop, it injects something into you first. And that something isn't an accident of biology. And it isn't a clumsy byproduct of feeding. It's a deliberate, purpose-built chemical weapon, refined over roughly 200 million years of trial and error, tested on every mammal, bird, and reptile unlucky enough to have blood worth stealing. So what's actually in the syringe? Why does your body barely notice for the first 10 seconds when it notices a paper cut instantly? And why does any of this matter to you, sitting there right now, in whatever room you're in, with a window that's probably not as sealed as you think it is? Let that question sit for a second, because the answer gets uglier the deeper you go. And it starts with the fact that the mosquito isn't improvising any of this. She's running a script, a literal, evolved, step-by-step sequence, and every part of it exists for a reason. A mosquito doesn't just poke you and hope for the best. Under a microscope, her mouth part, and yes, it's always a her, males don't bite, they drink nectar like the far less murderous half of the species, looks less like a needle and more like a Swiss Army knife. 6 separate stylets, thin as hair, one of which saws through your skin, while another actually probes around underneath, searching for a blood vessel like she's got a map. Which, in a sense, she does. She's using heat sensors and chemical receptors to hunt for the vessel, not stabbing blind. And the second she finds it, before she draws a single drop, she injects saliva. That's step 1, not step 2, step 1. That saliva is doing something specific. It's an anticoagulant cocktail, full of proteins with names like hyaluron, engineered, evolutionarily, not in a lab, but the effect is the same, to stop your blood from clotting the second it hits open air. Because if it clots, her thin little tube gets blocked, and she starves mid-meal. So the saliva keeps the blood liquid, keeps it flowing. And on top of that, it's got a mild numbing agent baked in. That's why you don't feel the bite happen. You only feel the aftermath. The mosquito, in other words, is running local anesthesia on you, without your consent, mid-crime, in real time. Which is completely wild when you actually sit with it. A creature with a brain smaller than a poppy seed figured out pain management before we did. But here's the part that got buried under "it's just an itchy bump." Researchers pulled apart mosquito saliva, looking for what all those extra unidentified proteins were doing, since the anticoagulants alone don't explain everything in the mix. What they found was that saliva doesn't just numb you and stop clotting, it actively suppresses your local immune response. It dampens the antiviral signaling in your skin. It's not a side effect, it's the point. And here's the part that should genuinely bother you. In lab studies, mice bitten by mosquitoes carrying a virus and then infected got sicker faster with more virus in their blood and their brains than mice who got the exact same virus injected with a plain needle. Same virus, same dose, different outcome. The only difference was the mosquito's saliva riding shotgun. The bite isn't incidental to the infection. The bite is the infection's opening move. And it goes deeper than one bite. Scientists looking at people who live in mosquito-heavy regions found that repeated exposure to that saliva over months and years actually reshapes the local immune landscape in the skin, recruiting certain cells, dialing back others, shifting the whole defensive posture of the tissue. Which means the more you get bitten, the more your body's frontline defenses get quietly retrained by a bug's spit. Not toward strength, toward tolerance. Your skin, over time, learns to stop fighting back as hard, because fighting back was never really an option to begin with. Here's where this stops being a bug story and starts being something you'll recognize immediately, because you've almost certainly seen this exact playbook before, just running on a different kind of network. Picture a hospital in Ohio, 2021. Some overworked IT guy staring at a monitor at 2 in the morning, coffee gone cold next to the keyboard. A piece of malware doesn't kick down the front door and start encrypting files right away. That's amateur hour, the kind of attack that gets caught in minutes. The good stuff, the ransomware that actually wrecks a hospital system for weeks, cancels surgeries, sends ambulances rerouting to other counties, does something quieter first. It finds its way in through some forgotten login, and before it does anything visible, it goes after the security software. It disables the antivirus, it mutes the alert system, it kills the logging so nobody can even reconstruct what happened afterward. It sits there, patient, sometimes for days, dismantling the thing that's supposed to notice it. And only once the alarms are unplugged does it start doing the damage everyone actually sees. That's not a metaphor I'm stretching to fit. That's the same sequence, beat for beat, step for step. The mosquito doesn't attack your immune system after the bite. She disables the local alarm system first. Numbing, anti-clotting, immune suppression, and only then does the actual transaction happen. Malware devs figured out, decades ago, and using silicon, the exact strategy a bug perfected in soft tissue over a couple 100 million years. Nobody copied anybody. There was no meeting between a virologist and a hacker. It's convergent design. It's just what works, whether the substrate is code or Titan, whether the target is a network or a bloodstream. Disable detection first. Extract second, and hope nobody notices until it's already too late to matter. Now here's where it stops being clever and starts being unfair, because biology doesn't distribute consequences evenly, and neither does everything else. Somewhere in suburban Connecticut, a kid gets bit at a backyard barbecue, gets an itchy welt, complains for a day, scratches it a little too much, and forgets about it entirely by the weekend. Same summer, a kid in a flood-prone neighborhood outside Recife, Brazil, gets bit by essentially the same species of mosquito, running the exact same chemical playbook, and ends up with a dengue infection that puts them in a hospital bed for a week, hooked up to fluids, parents pacing a hallway, or, in the worst documented cases, doesn't make it out at all. Same bite, same saliva, same immune-suppressing chemistry doing exactly what it evolved to do, down to the molecule. The difference isn't the mosquito, and it isn't luck in any cosmic sense. It's drainage infrastructure. It's mosquito control budgets that got funded in one zip code and cut in another. It's screened windows, air conditioning, a hospital within a 20-minute drive instead of a 2-hour one. It's who historically got public health funding and who got handed a pamphlet about boiling water and told to manage. The mosquito doesn't care about any of that. She's not cruel, she's not fair, she's just running her code. The same code everywhere, on everyone. It's the humans around the bite who decide whether it ends up as a footnote in someone's summer or a funeral. And that part should sit uncomfortably, because it's still true right now, tonight, in more places than most people watching this will ever visit. And it's been true for longer than anyone's bothered to fix it. So back to that room. The fan's still doing nothing. The sheets are still damp. The whine's back near your ear. And now you know what's actually about to happen if you don't move. Not a nuisance, not a random itch lottery, but a 200-million-year-old system that finds your blood vessel, kills the local alarm, numbs the wound, and only then takes what it came for. Calm and unhurried, because it knows you won't feel a thing until it's already gone. Every red bump you've ever scratched on a summer night was proof that something ran a full operation on your body, start to finish, and you never even felt the breach happen. You only ever saw the aftermath, the itch, the bump, the mild annoyance you forgot about by lunch. The whole operation, disabling your alarms, drawing what it came for, vanishing clean, happened entirely below the threshold of your awareness. That's not bad luck. That's design. So here's the actual question, and I want you to sit with it before you scroll away. If a creature with a brain the size of a poppy seed can figure out how to disable your body's alarm system before you notice anything's wrong, what else in your life right now is running that same play on you, quietly, before you ever feel the itch?